Hey, it's Todd Ault, everybody. This is Risk On. It's episode 232 of what is the greatest show about risk ever. At least I think it is. Maybe the greatest show about risk ever. Or it may just be a forward-looking statement. I don't think that's funny anymore, but I still say it. It is July 6th. It's a Wednesday. The second day after the 4th of July, I was in Ohio for an Indy race, which I thought was, I don't know why I like this track so much, because I really liked Road America. Mm-hmm. But this track had, when the trucks were jumping.
That was cool.
I went down to the bottom part of it. One thing I'll say for sure is, you know, I was born in Ohio, but I moved to California when I was like 4 or 5. And the people in Ohio are just so nice. It just was so nice to see people. A bunch of shareholders showed up. Boats was there, who's on the show. Boats comments a lot. He brought some friends. And today we're going to have a legendary guy on the show. I mean, this is kind of like a coup d'etat, you know, like when you get Jack Arute on your show. He's a legendary former sportscaster for the NFL, for college football, a pit reporter in auto racing. He currently has an on-air show on Sirius Satellite Radio and has a podcast called Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel. And I'm going to welcome him to the show now, and then he has to listen to all the stuff I want to talk about before we get to Jack. Jack, welcome to the show.
Well, it's good, and I'm looking forward to listening. You always have something of value to say there, my friend.
You know, it's funny. I got to meet you during the Indy 500, and I was probably overwhelmed with the fact that you're Jack Arute. Like, I'm like, you know you're Jack Arute, right? You're there talking to me. I grew up watching you in sports. I grew up watching you at Indy. I grew up watching you in football. And so I was, well, as you know, I sat in the front and listened to every word you said. And I listened to the Wind Tunnel. So let's make sure, how do people get the Wind Tunnel? Where do they go?
Well, we do have it posted in a video form, which is very, shall I say, outmoded, because it's basically an audio-based podcast. On the horizon, it will be our transition to video and live broadcasting. But wherever you pick up your podcasts from, you know, from Apple, from even Amazon Alexa, just say, hey, Alexa, play Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel. And it's located. We've got about 95% penetration in the podcast universe. And it's been very rewarding for me, Todd, because just like meeting with you and all of your great people there that are supporting Ed Carpenter and specifically Connor Daly, anytime that I have a chance to drill down into what makes racers tick, that has always infatuated me. When people possess a passion for something, I want to understand it, and then I want to share it with folks like you that maybe we're fans, but then become part of the story. You know my philosophy about that. Now that you're here, you've become part of the legacy and the story that is Indy and that is motorsports.
We are going to get to Jack Arute, but first, I'm going to give you a couple comments of what to stay tuned for later in the show. Jason and I will be covering the markets. We'll be covering Nile. Today's announcement, Michael Javelin, I see you have a question. We are going to answer that question because it's a really good question. We thought we kind of made it clear, but that's okay, Michael. You're a friend of the firm. You're a friend of the show, and we're going to answer your questions. We are going to answer as many questions as we can today. Yeah, Boats, we did have a solid weekend with Rinus VeeKay coming in 4th after starting 11th, and Connor starting at 22nd, ending at 13th. But Jack, oh, by the way, I want to be clear with everybody. We are going to get to questions today. It'll be a longer show because we don't have a show on Friday. So today we are going to be pretty active. I'll be in Mexico for a wedding, enjoying one of my friends from college getting married for the, which is important. But we're going to cover a lot of things today, including mics, which someone just had a question about, which is the Singing Machine Company. We're also going to cover some things that just don't make sense. And I want to point it out to you before we get to Jack. You know how much shit I got about us buying EYP? Mm-hmm. I got people on there saying, look how stupid Todd is. He's buying a bankrupt company. And why do I belabor this point? Because I try to be transparent, and I realize I just can't help some of you. A fool and their money coming together just happens occasionally. You guys need to pay attention. If you're going to be a shareholder of Nile and you want to be my partner, because you're my partner if you're a shareholder, you know, our substance is a corporation, as Buffett says, but our spirit is partnership. This is why I have this show. But I got so much ridicule for buying UIP. Someone outbid us in the industry, that's an architectural business, Page. They outbid us, and they paid $70 million for the company. They paid us a breakup fee. This is all public record. They paid us millions of dollars to walk away because they were the winning bidder. So I don't see all of you who making comments and ridiculing us and telling us how stupid we are saying one word about the millions of dollars we made on being the stock and horse bidder. This is my point. The short attention span theater, you shouldn't be owning our stock. If you don't understand the 10-year plan, just sell it. That's my suggestion to you. I can't tell you what to do, but don't be here. You want to go back to 16, 17, 18 when we had an issue with Bitcoin and the stock had a reverse? You want to dwell on that? Dwell on it. You want to dwell on the fact that I said we're not using the ATM right now versus using it later? By the way, how smart do we look that we bought a bunch of assets and raised money when everyone else, nobody else can, Celsius out of business, they're effectively going to go bankrupt. A lot of other players just are not going to make it, yet we don't have any debt, minimal debt. Yeah, it was painful. I'm not happy. I'm a shareholder. But no one says, you know what? It was good that they put $100 and something million on the balance sheet. They paid off their debt. So my point here is we're going to cover a lot of that later. But first, we're going to get to one of my favorite subjects, and that is the Indy 500, the Indy Racing Series, Jack Arute, and a living legend on our show. And I really look forward to later in the program when we cover the market. But we're going to talk about Jack right now. Jack, what would I say about this weekend that stood out to me? What would I think? Jack's on the show. What would I want to talk about? Would that be the Andretti team?
Yeah, you think, Todd?
Whoops.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
I was actually, Tony Kanaan and I were having this discussion earlier today. In all the years that I've covered the sport and all the years that he's been member of a multi-car team, neither of us can recall ever an operation where one driver in a multi-car team managed to collide and therefore piss off every other member of the team in the exact same race. And then to have the perpetrator say, well, I believe he's an idiot, to not once, not twice, but 4 times call his teammate until the end of the year, Alexander Rossi, an idiot. You know what? I know you would want to be Michael Andretti.
No, no, and I
can you imagine that meeting on Monday?
Yeah. And to be clear, I am a fan of Michael. I know him I know him a little bit. We know each other some business, but not like we're not personal friends. I know his son Marco. We're not personal friends, but we know each other. The family's wonderful. I know Devlin's dad. So Devlin texted me and said, hey, what the hell was happening there? Not Devlin. I'm sorry. His dad did, Andy. I don't know Devlin. Obviously, I know Roman. And I thought he handled it okay. Did you not?
Well, he handled it in that typical French European way.
Right.
I cannot be bothered with this. He's just an idiot. Look.
Part of it. I wasn't commenting on the idiot part, but Rossi was racy, to say the least. And
he was he's been uber aggressive since he got his release from Andretti.
Right.
And you know what? We can dissect that all we want. I'm an existentialist in this regard. This isn't the first time that he's ruffled feathers within the community. He enjoyed a rookie year where we all pulled for him. Because why? He's world renowned thanks to Netflix, thanks to, him being the man that escaped from fire and all of us and what we witnessed on Drive to Survive. And then he comes over here and he won the hearts and souls of IndyCar fans. But I think the honeymoon's over. I think what you accomplished with Dale Coyne Racing is one thing, But when you join a mega team like Andretti Autosport and proceed to piss off every other fellow member, I mean, who are you going to go to? You're going to go to Colton? You're going to, go down the list.
Wait, hold on. Didn't he hit Colton too?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Every single team member, he managed in. Look, racers are racers. I'm not an advocate for let's play nice in the sandbox. There's a reason why it is a contact sport. It puts your ego on the line, and the blood is going to rush out of your brain, and you're going to do things that you regret later.
Right.
But they can settle it between themselves. I also, and I've known Michael since he was a very little kid. The Andretti way, specifically with Michael, is not to air his dirty laundry or potentially dirty laundry in public. But that, and I don't know if you witnessed it while you were there, but that's exactly what happened at the end of the race. You don't hold a team meeting out in public where race fans and media members and everybody that was at Mid-Ohio could witness and, oh, by the way, hear the tone of voice. And, if you're a journalist, alert, 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 because this is not the way Michael has always tended to his businesses.
Yeah, I actually felt bad for the team there, but it's definitely one thing. Let's change the topic for a second. One thing I've noticed, Jason, you've noticed this too, is when you look at Formula One, and I like Formula One. I mean, it's popular.
Too.
It's popular right now, more popular because of the Netflix show. But what people don't realize is generally, if you're not Ferrari, if you're not Ferrari, Mercedes, or Red Bull, the chances of you finishing on the podium are pretty low. That's just my experience,
Absolutely.
right?
No, you're spot on.
Right.
Look, I can sit there and I can watch preseason testing, and with a sufficient amount of veracity, could go to Las Vegas and place a bet on who the top three teams are going to be.
Right.
Now, Ferrari, it's this year. They had a breakout year. But everything is because it's so specialized. If you haven't done your work in the off season, if you haven't made the right connections, how would you like to go into a sporting event knowing that you're going to be the nail to a hammer, and the hammer may be Red Bull or it may be Mercedes, and you're a field filler? That's what happens in Formula One.
We know that Liberty, the same people who own at the F1, wanted to buy the Indy 500. We kind of know to some degree, and this is just my hypothesis. I have spoken to people in the family, but we kind of know that they really wanted Roger Penske to have it, and they had every right to sell it to Roger Penske. They thought he'd be a great stewardship of it. But what I would say that Roger and the league is doing right, and people are not realizing, is the difference between first and 20th was in qualifying megaseconds. Yeah. They were you told me at one point one of them was 0.008.
Yeah.
The difference between
thousandths,
right?
Yep.
So
you can't blink your eye that quickly.
Oh, it's crazy.
Right, you can't blink your eye that fast. I'm curious from your perspective of being in the league and being around the league for so long, is it not the most competitive motorsport in the world?
Absolutely. Unequivocally.
By far, right?
Yeah.
And I think
by eons.
I think people will recognize that at any time you can tune in and anyone can win. And I watched Will Power start, I believe, 21st, get knocked out in the first lap, back to 27th, and end up third. It's astonishing to me how Will Power drove. It's astonishing that this guy goes from, in the first lap, from 22nd to 27th, and by the end of the race is third. And by the way, was very competitive, right? I mean, I said everyone the whole weekend, like when I saw that happen, I said, okay, I just want to understand it. Just explain it to me. Well, he got on reds quicker, and so we use scuff reds, so he was a little, I mean, I get that. I get it. I totally understand it. But it was truly astonishing to watch what transpired. I couldn't believe it. What's your thoughts on the season so far?
Well, you hit the nail right on the head. What separates IndyCar from every other global form of motorsports is its competitive nature. So if you drill down and examine it like you would if you were trying to acquire a company, what are the pluses and the minuses? A lot can be said. I know a lot of racing fans have resisted the move towards, kind of a spec supply chain developed race car. But that's basically what we have with the Dallara chassis that has also allowed the developers to introduce year in and year out incredibly positive safety measures. Then you take the OEMs and the engine manufacturers, and I just absolutely love the battle between the two of them that benefits us as a consumer. Sorry, Washington, I am going to be purchasing normally aspirated engines until they run out of dinosaur, fossils to give us fuel, because there's something about it. And look at that seesaw battle. Chevrolet had an off year. They've gone to work. We've got hybridization on the horizon. So you take the inanimate side of it, Todd, and what you've done is you're never going to level the playing field, but you've narrowed it down to where what really separates on any given race day is who hits the right combination. Right combination, and you hear the terms all the time: mechanical downforce, grip, aero grip. And then what about the driver? We've returned this sport back to the butt of the drivers. And everyone has a different style. Well, when you put all that concoction into that cocktail that is IndyCar racing, you've got a dynamite and I think an amazingly growing in popularity sports segment that's only going to continue to grow. And just don't take my word for it. Look at the number of young rookies that we've got. We finally have established, by the way, a ladder system. There are a number of drivers down in the Indy Lights series that you could make the argument not only should be or deserve a spot in IndyCar racing, but are now forced to wait their turn. I don't think you can get any healthier than IndyCar is right now. Don't take my word for it. Look at the number of different pole winners, the number of different racing scenarios, and we haven't even gone into a lot of the nuanced stuff like, do you pit over, do you pit under, do you use used reds on road course, do you use sticker reds? There's such an abundance of strategies that if you're willing to think outside the box, it can get you that win as well.
You did see 9 different pole winners in 9 different races, which hasn't happened, I think, since '62. That's astonishing. You would never see that in F1. I never. I don't think I. If you have, I'd love to know when that was.
I may have been when Fangio was, racing. I don't know. I don't recall it. Look, Formula One is a totally different breed. It's comparing IndyCar to Formula One. The only similarity is
4 wheels,
the open wheel, the open cockpit, the open wheels. When Mercedes goes to work and spends $1 gazillion, developing not only their engine, or as they call it, their power plant, but also their chassis. And there's no requirement other than very broadly defined rules. And, Red Bull decides to do likewise. And now we've got the advent of, Alfa Romeo, basically what I call the farm teams for the major, manufacturers, be it Ferrari or Mercedes. Your destiny is already defined before they unload them off the transporter in testing. Yeah, you may have a rain show where somebody, goes, but why when you watch it, do you see the announcers get excited because, Michael Schumacher's son scored his first ever Formula One Grand Prix point, and he's been at this for a couple of years because it's the deck is stacked against him. There's a different sort of competitive nature to Formula One. And don't even get me started on stock car racing. Okay.
I'm a fan of what's going on with Indy right now. I love it.
Me too.
I'm a big
more
fan.
than a fan.
And
I'm more than a fan.
And when I was at the award ceremony, it was wonderful to see them all acknowledge Roger and what's happening there. Who do you like better? Do you like Lundqvist or do you like Stingray Robb in the Indy Lights? And if you can't answer that, I understand.
If you can't get on board a driver's named Stingray Robb, then you're brain dead. Okay, Both are equally deserving of getting the next nod. But
Yeah, I personally am a fan of both of them, but I met Stingray's parents. I met Stingray himself.
he's the wild child. I love him.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Obviously, Idaho born, Idaho raised, and believe it or not, that's his real name, Stingray.
I know.
You can tell.
But,
I met his dad and said, "Okay, I know you named him Stingray, dude."
Well, but think about it too, because we all know the secrecy of I call it secrecy of excellence that still is prospering well in the state of Idaho.
Right.
Creative or outside the box thinking is not new to people in Idaho. It's been there for generation after generation. So, Mother, what should we call our son? Let's call him Stingray.
Do you have time to stick around, or do you got to go?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, yeah. We're going to get to the market update real quick, and we're going to come back to Jack Arute. Jack, I appreciate you sticking around. I have to let people know I have a show on.
Yeah.
They're texting me. Let's go. We gonna put up the market update thing? Are we ready to go? We did it already? Yep. Oh, sorry about that. Jason, why don't we update the market real quick and then kind of get back to where we were, and we'll cover some stocks and cover things we want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk
gold
about
and
the
silver.
gold, silver, mortgage applications, FOMC minutes, all that fun stuff.
Right.
Let's take a look at the market today. Actually, finished green, Todd. 31,037 for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, plus 69. NASDAQ finished up 40, 11,361. S&P up 13, 38.45. Currently, Bitcoin at this time, 20,309. Ethereum 11.57. Oil, Todd, under $100 a barrel now. $98.53 for WTI light sweet crude. Gold, silver being trampled. This is not financial advice, but I am personally buying physical silver because the ratio of silver to gold is over 90 to 1, which means it takes 90 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold.
So wait, what are you buying then?
I'm buying 100-ounce bars of silver.
You're buying silver.
Yeah, it's $19.18, and gold is $17.38. And copper, this is not financial advice, but CPER, I would like to get some exposure to copper, me personally. Of course, Southern Copper is a good company. Freeport-McMoRan, ticker symbol FCX, we've talked about, approaching that $25 range. Copper's $3.44 a pound. So a lot of the commodities have sold off with what I think could be a recession.
Yeah, I saw a headline, underwater Bitcoin miners turn up the heat on selling pressure on crypto. Mm-hmm. We're not selling. Now, those of you who asked the question, which is a very valid, let's get into it.
Yeah.
You saw today's press release where we announced what we had in Bitcoin for the first time, right? Although you could look at the end of the quarter filings to see what we had in Bitcoin if you do a little sleuthing around, right? Because it's in the disclosures. But what we had to, and we put this in the documents, is we were obligated when we took that $66 million loan, we were obligated every 2 weeks to sell down our Bitcoin. And oh, by the way, I think we were selling some at 40,000. Mm-hmm. And I think the lowest we sold, and I'm not going to be held to this, so I want to be very clear. We didn't lose Jack, did we? You still here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. I want to be clear. We sold Bitcoin, I believe, down to like 31 or 32.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to be held perfect to what we will because you can see the difference in what we mined, what we sold. Since the day we didn't have to sell it, we have not sold any Bitcoin. And right now, and those of you who have been part of the show who go, did I say I would never sell Bitcoin? Come on. Let's get logic and critical thinking involved here. I didn't say I would never sell Bitcoin. We have no plans at this time, tomorrow, the next day, a week from now. Okay, I'll give you a week from now, we have no plans to sell Bitcoin. We don't want to sell it for a long time. We have cash, minimal debt, and I think we have $4 million
$4 million.
On a $500 million plus balance sheet.
Yeah.
We don't intend to sell Bitcoin. Intend we intend to mine it. And I saw someone today, I think it was Ollie Trading God, calling me an idiot, saying you said you were mining more than... No, look at the average mining we're doing. And people, you don't know the operations. You don't know that we had a transformer blow up. By the way, if you would have been in front of that transformer, you were dead.
Dead.
Oh, my God. We had a transformer blow up. We had to... Jason, you went and got Now, we're so paranoid now, Jason, you got reserve transformers.
We got
We got
transformers.
transformers, baby. And those took some time to get back. So we had a little downtime on a couple boxes. But if you look at the methodical pace at which we're approaching mining, we're approaching it where we pay for our miners, we pay for the installation, we own our own facility, and we're managing our risk. And right now, I could not be prouder of the team. I have absolutely nothing but glowing stuff to say about the team. Would I like to install faster? Of course I would. Can I control the delivery of copper? Can I control the delivery of transformers that are 7 months late or 6 months late?
Yeah.
Can I control certain things? No, I can't. And we deal with them by trying to be transparent. There's no weird thing going on here. You can make up whatever conspiracy you want to.
You can see the run rate.
But you can see the run rate as clear as day, and we can continue to be methodical about it. And by the way, we had really Bitmain has been nothing but wonderful to us. Our relationship with Bitmain has only been made solid by what happened last month.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go into the details, just to say what a solid organization they have been in terms of the way they've delivered the miners, done what they said they were going to do, treated us fairly. Obviously, I'm very happy with them.
Our partner Sea Lion doing a great job getting these things
Absolutely.
overseas. Yeah, I mean, let's get into the numbers here because I see somebody mention Core Scientific. I think no ALA.
Yeah, but
mentioned.
by the way, Core Scientific sold at 23,000.
Dude, I got the numbers.
They didn't think to sell any at 30.
They sold 7,173 Bitcoin at an average price of 23,000 for a net of 165 million, roughly.
Right.
So Core's liquidated a bunch, and they're doing massive numbers between self-mining and host mining. I do like CORZ. That's just my opinion. I do like Hive Blockchain, who has a big hodl as well. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at what we did. Obviously, we have Bitmain contracts, so we like to pay our partners on time. So we sold some Bitcoin up there above 30.
But that was back in January.
But that was back.
Back in the first quarter.
Yeah,
I think since the end of paying off that loan, we haven't sold a single Bitcoin.
Right.
And we don't have any intention to sell any at this time, right?
Nope.
And we've laid out for you guys kind of like, if you just look at the documents, what we plan to raise over time, how we plan to deploy it. Obviously, we didn't get to buy EYP, but we got paid to walk away.
Look at the troll in the chat.
What? Who is it?
Eric Fleshy says, just plug them in, Todd. Plug them in.
Oh, I love Eric. We're plugging them in, buddy. We're plugging them in. And we've got more miners installed than we ever have.
Correct.
And we continue to install new miners every week, every month.
We've told the street that we're looking for diversification of possible opportunities for power in other locations.
Right.
Our insurance companies dig that.
But there are miners that are underwater. And what's interesting, if you just follow the philosophy, and it's going to be hard for me to transition the shareholder base to this, but I'm trying to get you guys to think that we buy undervalued assets or something we think is disruptive. And the strategy for this, when we laid out a 10-year strategy, was to buy things that we could spin off to shareholders that we thought should be individual, like spinning off Turn On Green, obviously Gresham. These are things that are important to us for the future. We've already talked about spinning off Turn On Green into a separate publicly traded company where the shareholders of Nile would get 140 million shares of common and 140 million shares of warrants, good for 5 years. That's progressing. We'll have some stuff on that soon. When you look at the purchasing of Alt Alpha, I see people making comments that that's DPL's money. Yes, DPL is an investor. There are other people in the fund. And it is true that DPL owns 100% of their limited partnership interest. But there are other investors.
Yep.
And, it's not perfect in the sense that we're not happy with its thing, but we have to put when I buy for the fund, we put in a 10b5, 1018 plan. You can see that it was dated after the Q, which I believe was, I want to say May 24th.
Yeah.
If you look at the buying that we've been doing, we turn it over to a broker, we provide them capital, and they decide when they're going to buy based on parameters we outlaid for them. We take that very seriously. So you'll see buying when sometimes it's weird buying, and you'll see buying when you never expected it because it's part of a plan for the fund to take a position. When it comes to a 10b5, 1018 plan for the company buying, that kind of thing is reported on a quarterly basis because that's the company buying. When Alt Alpha buys, it's me buying for the fund that I run that has other limited partners in it or investors, etc. So I hope that provides you some clarity. Unfortunately, we're just not in a position to really continue to always comment on it. We're trying to like wean people off to read the filings more and pay attention to that.
Crypto Joe says the transformer didn't blow up; it just malfunctioned, which kind of looked bad.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
The transformer malfunctioned.
Yep.
It didn't blow up.
Just
it
wanted
just
to-
looked bad.
Yeah, just wanted to clear that up.
All right, Joe, if that makes sense. But I wanted to go back. I wanted to transition a little bit to gold and silver.
Yeah.
Is this the wrong attitude? Is it just the dollar is the strongest of what our friend Greg Foss says the crap currencies? Was that the deal?
That's my thesis. I mean, the DXY, which is an indicator, an ETF that measures the dollar against all the other fiat toilet paper. So let's take a look at it. So it's so weird because the DXY with 31 trillion, approaching 31 trillion in debt, and what was basically endless printing of fiat still remains super strong, while commodities, which you can probably deduce are going to go down because we're going towards a recession if we're not already in it. So the DXY is 107.07, which if we look at the daily chart, I mean, look at that. It's just been, there's a cup and handle there. It's just cup and handle, cup and handle. It's just mooning, while gold and silver, which have been money for thousands of years, continue to get blasted off. Copper, obviously part of the commodities sector, going to keep going down, in my opinion, as demand decreases in what appears to be a recession. And I back that thesis up with simple stuff like the housing market. Today, mortgage applications came out, Todd, and the aggregate mortgage application week over week was down 5.4%. Refinances down 7.7%. Purchase applications down 4.3%. Everybody had their chance to buy cheap money. Todd, your mortgage is what?
2.85. The lowest I've ever had.
2.85.
Matter of fact, my mortgage broker, who I thought was just, giving me shit,
Yeah.
said, "Oh, this is the lowest I've ever seen, man. I've never seen anything like it." And I'm like, "Okay, salesman." Boy, oh boy, was he right. That thing was like, that was the low print, and boom. So I'll be never selling my house because I can't. You can't refinance. My rate's 6.5 now.
Right.
And I can't go buy something else because I got to pay a new rate to buy the place.
You could set up
and my rate is dirt cheap.
You could set up like a HELOC if you wanted to make some acquisitions, do some home improvements that could tie to you could put a second in place.
By the way, if you think people get lucky, you should know that my rate in California was 9%.
Wow.
No, it was because I had credit issues and all those problems in 2008, 2009. It's like, yeah, they were 9%, 10%, 30% down. I mean, I was crushed in terms of there. So moving to Nevada when things improved, obviously better rates.
So who's getting punished right now? Besides, most everyone in the market is. But I'll tell you what are really getting punished are the mining stocks. Junior miners.
You mean miners like gold and silver or miners like Bitcoin miners?
Actually, both.
Oh, yeah, both.
All the mining stocks are getting obliterated. First Majestic Silver, one of the best CEOs on the planet, in my opinion. Next to Todd. Todd's not a CEO.
You always said, by the way, he's my second favorite. He's such a liar.
He's my second favorite.
Yeah, it's because I pay you.
$6.85 for AG. They've got Jarrett Canyon Mine in northern Nevada that's just harvesting tons of gold. But here's the problem with the miners and the precious metal sector. Their energy costs are through the roof, so their margins are slimming down. For example, like AG, First Majestic Silver, in the silver bullion market where they're mining silver, precious metals, their all-in sustainable cost to mine 1 ounce of silver is probably in the neighborhood of $14 to $15. So as you can see, silver now spot price $19 and some change. So couple that with energy prices, you're seeing a slimmer margin right now. So there's a buying opportunity, in my opinion, that's obviously just my opinion, in both the mining sector for metals and the mining sector for crypto. So you just got to go out, do some homework in the middle of the night, get yourself a cup of coffee, bear down, look at these tickers, and figure out what is a good, chance for value in your current bankroll and what you currently have in your portfolio. That's what I'm looking at.
I got you. So people are asking a question about mics, MICS. Now, it's my understanding and my belief, I cannot personally confirm this. I have been told that they are the #1 maker of crypto machines. Crypto.
Singing.
What the fuck is wrong? They are the #1 maker of karaoke machines in the world. And they also, or at least they sell more of them. I'll get the clarity, but don't, please, the disclaimer is I could be wrong. They sell to Walmart. They sell to Target.
Yeah.
They sell to 98%, I'm told, of the major big box retailers. Could not be a nicer management team. Bernardo, the chief revenue officer, and Gary, the CEO, and Lionel, the CFO, really great people. Been there. Bernardo, 18 years. Gary, 14 years. I don't know how long Lionel's been there. Got a chance to meet them. What did we do as a company? So Nile owns Ault Alliance. Ault Alliance is a holding company in private equity, in venture, in lending. And from time to time, activism. And if you follow us, you'll see that we have made a lot of money being activists. And occasionally, instead of buying a 9.9% position, if we see something really inexpensive, like having $7 million in the bank and your market cap being $7 million, and you have a dominant position in a category and a solid management team, and there's an opportunity, we pounced on it. We pounced on it. I think our average price is around $5.05, and we bought approximately 58% of the outstanding shares of Mike's. And if you follow that as a shareholder and you read the 13D filings, you'd see one key thing you need to pay attention to. Now, just for all those regulators watching today, this is publicly disclosed already. And that is that we own 58% of the company. And on a certain day after we took control and bought a majority control of the company, we now own control, and we are consolidating that. We said that we intend to consolidate. And that means their $52 million in sales they do are now part of Nile sales, right? They're consolidated.
Yes.
And that would be additive to what the total package that Nile's doing. It would diversify us into manufacturing into a particular space. And yet the majority-owned subsidiary continues to trade publicly on the NASDAQ. And yes, if you add up the shares we bought, we have a multi-million-dollar gain. I think we're up somewhere around $5.5 to $6 million. But we have not sold a single share. Questions in the audience that have been asking.
In fact, we had a question about the intentions of that position.
And we don't intend to sell at this time
Right.
any of those shares in Mike's.
I asked Crypto
And
Joe
in fact, we believe that karaoke, by the way, evidence of James Corden carpool karaoke, we believe that the device that they sold, and you can see it, it's a little mic that connects to your radio wirelessly, and people made it viral on TikTok, and they sold hundreds of thousands of these units. We believe that they're very smart people, and they're in a great category, and they can launch any product, and I think they have something like 25 SKUs. By the way, they have been EBITDA positive, according to their filings, 9 out of the last 10 years. The year they're not positive was the year that Toys R Us went bankrupt. So
they were positive during
all
COVID?
of you people who
Wait a minute,
think
Todd,
that
they were positive during COVID?
they were positive EBITDA for 9 out of the last 10 years, according to their filings.
Right, okay.
I want to be clear.
Yeah.
I have been thoroughly schooled in how to speak like a lawyer.
Got it.
Even though I'd prefer not to. So they make karaoke machines, and it's a very popular thing. And they make them inexpensive. Like a kid can buy one for $29. The mom or dad could buy one for a little kid with like a little stuffed animal with all kinds of sounds. And speaking of sounds, Skyla, have you ever sung karaoke?
When I was little. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot more of it.
You think so?
Nice. Yeah, I
Hey,
think
Jack,
so.
I know you're still on the show. Jack, have you ever sung karaoke?
Not that I want to admit to, or not that I can remember, but others have remembered and reminded me, yes.
I can tell you that I've sung karaoke, and the people that are running the singing machine company are a good management team, and we intend to. It's our goal to keep them motivated and happy to run that subsidiary like a true holding company will. So we own control of another NASDAQ company where we don't run the day-to-day, folks.
Nope.
They do. Do you understand the business? I'm sorry. I'm getting negative. I hope you understand the business model. We are a holding company. Believe it or not, I don't install any Bitcoin miners.
What?
You can see that by the sheer girth of my body, like how big I am, right? There's not a lot of activity taking place in manufacturing or lifting heavy things for me. Someone else does that, right?
You didn't build that. Somebody else built that for you. Remember
You
that?
didn't build that. Pocahontas, you didn't build that.
Barack Obama.
Oh, I like the Barack Obama,
Hey, I asked Joe to
actually.
come over for 5 minutes because I want to talk about the difficulty that's coming up. Looks like we're going to get a break on difficulty, and then I want to talk about the global hash rate and what's going on.
Jack, if you have to go, I can skip to how I want to finish up with you, or do you have time to hang with us?
I'm getting quite the education here.
Okay, good. Please, Jack.
I'm making notes.
Yeah, because I'm not going to let you go unless you say I have to go.
No, I'm good.
But if you look at us as a holding company, you'll see we own Gresham Worldwide. Now we own 100% of that, but we've said that's going to merge with Gigatronics, and we're going to own 70%, and that'll be a publicly run defense company on a national exchange eventually. We hope. And then if you look at Turn On Green, we've actually said no. In that case, we're going to give it all to the shareholders. We're going to own none of it later. The common shares will be on. So if you're a shareholder of Nile, one day you're going to wake up with shares of Turn On Green and hopefully other things. Now, some things will keep, like if they have the alt name on them, they're probably not going to be spun out. That doesn't mean they won't. But we kind of intend to keep the energy business, the things we're involved in that have my name on them. And I really don't say my name, but really my grandfather's name, the guy who made it possible after I was adopted by my father to make all this happen, by just giving me a $1,400 loan when I was 18 years old.
It's crazy.
You know, isn't that crazy? And I wasn't my name. I was adopted, but I've always honored the fact that he helped my father, who adopted me at 13, helped take me out of poverty. And I have done the same with as many people as I can. Whether we sold Patient Safety Technologies or Taco Cabana, we try to make people money over time. The experiment with Nile is a long-term process. I realize we're all in pain over the price. I'm with you 100%. But we continue to strive forward with what we're doing here. Speaking of striving forward, one of my longest-running employees, Crypto Joe, partner in Alt & Company, you have been here for how long again? Can you remind me?
It'll be 15 years in October.
15 years at the same company. Well, with the same dude, I guess. Not the same exact company, right?
Not the same company.
I guess we're going to talk about... Now, Joe, your job is the CIO, so you're the Chief Information Officer for the entire global conglomerate, which, by the way, now spreads Israel, England, the United States, operational stuff in China, I believe, operational stuff in Taiwan, operational stuff in Vietnam. You are the global CIO of this. I get to say that. I just feel like I'm saying big words here. But you literally, from defense to power electronics to missile systems to mining, you're the Chief Information Officer. You oversee the infrastructure of our network. Am I correct?
Yep, that's actually very true.
Right. And you also are head of global mining for our mining company, BitNile Inc., which is not BitNile Holdings, the parent company. There is a BitNile Inc.,
Yes.
which does the mining and owns the miners. Joe, am I correct?
Yep, you are.
And Joe, the question Jason has for you, I don't know, I'm in a spirited mood today. Jason, you have questions for him about mining?
Yeah, it looks like in about 3 hours, 23 minutes, Joe, I sent you a screenshot because you don't have your laptop with you. It looks like we are slated for a slight reduction in difficulty.
Yeah, about 1.17% or something like
Yeah.
that.
So
1.48.
that was a little bit of a surprise to me because last adjustment we went down pretty decent too.
Yeah, the global hash rate just has fallen off a cliff, man.
Yeah. Check this out, Nick, on my screen here as Joe spoke to this. The 1 month here, current hash rate globally, 176 exahash.
Change your date to just like the last 8 days.
Okay. Oh,
Hey,
wow.
hey, Joe,
Yeah.
did you see that Jack Arute's on the show?
I did. I
Yeah.
said hi to him earlier.
Isn't that
I was
cool?
super excited.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
obviously-
people realize, like, this is probably in Indy and in the world of sports, one of the most famous people around. He's just hanging out on our show today.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Hey, man, I'll hang out with you. He actually spoke at our dinner.
It was great.
At Indy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sorry I interrupted. I'm more fascinated that Jack's here than I am. What's the difficulty rate now? What's going on?
Well, difficulty, it looks like it could go down 1.48%. It's
Yeah,
subject
it
to
won't
change.
No, it won't change that much. So that's an
Yeah.
average,
Okay.
right? So that's pretty much what it's going to go down.
Joe, talk about this non-disclosable event we had, which is a transformer that didn't blow up, but when I looked at it, looked like it blew up.
Yeah, I mean, it just had an internal failure, right? I mean, And we're still investigating exactly what happened with it. I mean, it could have been a bad transformer, could have been it overheated. I mean, it could have been anything. But, you know, in events like that, events do happen like that. It's part of our world at this point, right? I mean,
you have to, and I've noticed this. You have to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even when we're in Ohio, even when we're out having some wine. You have to constantly monitor the network.
we do.
Maybe you could talk about the difficulties. I mean, I've actually would encourage. I learned this from a friend of mine. Ask yourself what 1,000 gumballs is. I want you to sit there and say, "Here, I'm going to do it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just keep counting to 1,000. See how long that takes you.
Yeah.
And then understand installing more than 20,000 of something that weighs how much, Joe?
About 35 pounds, roughly.
And it requires how much cabling? Miles of cabling.
Miles.
Right. And there's heat in there, right?
Lot
Power,
of- lot of heat,
electricity,
yep.
etc. This is not an easy task. You don't just whip out 20,000 miners and put them wherever you want, right, Joe?
No, it takes a bit.
Right. So, Joe, you know I'm a little bitchy from time to time.
No, say it ain't so.
Are you happy with the rate at which the installations are taking place?
I'm happy with.
Actually, you shouldn't answer that.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy to see that it's taking place, but there's always two sides to the idea that you have this decline in Bitcoin. Could not be happy that in Dubai Bitcoin was 69,000, and it was 19,000 a few days ago, and I bought some actually for 18,000 in my own personal account. But what's the lining here? If you forget Nile, just think about I'm going to give you my perspective. My thesis is that in every new generational device, anything that's been new, right? That's disruptive. And remember, we buy undervalued assets and disruptive technologies with a global impact. That's our mission, right? I remember the internet being the most important thing ever. The stocks going to the moon and then losing 90%. A ton of them went out of business. The strong survived. The industry thrived. When I see tons of different kinds of drugs coming out, the industry goes crazy, it consolidates, it pulls back, the strong survive. I can see this in housing. I can see this in software. I saw this with the internet. I could even say an argument for you. What about how many long distance phone companies are there? Wait. Hello?
Long distance.
Hello?
What?
Long distance? Wait. MCI? WorldCom? LDDS? Gone. Pew, pew, gone. So to me, Bitcoin survives. And I hate the fact that the media says crypto with Bitcoin. I think there's one immaculate conception, and that's Bitcoin. Everything else is a follow-on. I'm not saying the technology won't survive, but Joe, is there a reason that I need to have some Polkadot in my portfolio?
Only if you're going to be a trader, honestly. I mean, look, I'm not going to.
Wait, I'm trading something just to trade it?
I mean, it's look. Mr. Gary came out and said there's only one that he believes is a actual commodity and not a security.
When the head of the most important regulatory agency for securities in the world says there's one thing, Bitcoin, and then there's everything else, I would pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Right? Would you,
But
Joe?
I would, but I mean, if you're out there to make money, there's a lot of people out there trading.
To trade.
On it. Yeah.
Right. So inherently, the problem I have with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and I rarely say I have a problem with them, is they're lumping Bitcoin in with everything else. I think what they really mean is cryptocurrency. Bitcoin requires energy, time, and investment to create something, and it's not controlled by anyone. Whereas other people issue coins and they control the outcome, how much is going to go out. It's a security, folks.
Well, and it's finite.
Hello.
And it's finite.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is finite.
It's
That's
true.
right. So I'm a big fan of that. I made that clear. But you invited Joe for another reason other than for me just to blast him and talk to him about things.
Yeah, we wanted to cover just the overall state of the crypto mining sector and difficulty and global hash rate, and what we have seen recently with some mining entities having to shut machines down because of like weather issues, possible cost issues where it may or may not be profitable to keep the machines plugged in. So
yeah, I think you're in for a consolidation phase here, honestly, if I were a betting man, because look, Core had to sell for a reason, right? I mean, they host for other people. That I'm not saying I believe they're one of the larger self miners out there, but to that point, I believe that they're in a little bit of trouble. You know, Mara's definitely got some issues. They have not announced that, you know, when their power is going to come back, and that they're right now searching. I mean, sure, they sugarcoat it. We're searching for better power alternatives, blah, 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 and we were doing that before. But really, they got caught short, right? And they got a bunch of machines sitting.
And more coming.
Per
their press releases.
Per their press releases, it looks like they may have like 23,000 dead machines.
Yeah, and 5 minutes ago, Form 4 came out for Nile. That's public information.
I don't know why that's surprising to people.
1.249 million.
I telegraph what I'm doing. I have attempted to be like as transparent as I'm allowed. By the way, just for the record, my lawyers don't want me to do this show.
Yeah.
They're like, you're crazy. Don't even do a show. Never talk about it, right? And I'm like, wait a second. I want the investors to know what I'm doing. And then legally, I'm allowed to say what I'm allowed to say, right? With all these disclaimers. But I kind of said that we were going to do this, right? I mean, I didn't say, they're like, oh, it's some mystery. We're going to raise money on an ATM. We're going to issue a preferred that's non-dilutable. We're going to buy a bunch of stuff. I mean.
Can I read something funny?
No, go ahead.
BSMLB1 on StockTwitch said, so BBBY has an insider buy, 10,000 shares, and the stock goes up 10%. Snap goes up. Todd has been buying millions and millions every day, and
well, their logic is I'm buying it with the money from the fund, and the company's an investor. By the way, that happens a lot, by the way. Why? Because, well, just do the math. But that doesn't mean that other people, you can have, in certain kinds of hedge funds, you can have up to either 99 limited partners or you can have 2,000. And if I believe something's a good investment, I would invest alongside it. I am completely conflicted, so it's easier for me to invest alongside the company at the same time. Believe me, related party stuff is a nightmare.
The Form 4 now says 26,403,842 shares.
26 million. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. Joe, what is the state of crypto? What is the state of Bitcoin and the overall crypto market? You're involved with it every day. Jack, stay with us, my friend. I feel bad for Jack. He's like, I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Honestly, I think Bitcoin's solid. It's got a drawback, and I guess that's okay, right? I mean, everything has it. If you look at it, it's cyclical with Bitcoin, up, down, up, down, up, down, and you know, eventually we'll get to a point where it remains solid, but there's definitely some risk here. As far as the miners go, they're gonna. I think some of the big ones are getting pummeled, and the global hash rate shows that a lot of machines, almost, I believe at its peak, we've pulled back almost 60 exahash, which equates to roughly 600,000, right? 100 terahash machines. I think my math's right on that. I don't think it's 60. I think it's 600.
It is
1,000. So that would be like taking. That would be like taking every public company that does mining offline and then doing that 10 times. I mean, a lot has come offline. And countries are getting smarter about whacking all the wackadoodles who are stealing it. Google now has algorithms to look for domains that are, that are being taken over in their Google cloud compute by miners, because at one point they came out and said that they believed 80% of all compromised instances were mining for somebody, right?
Hey, Joe, let me tell you a story. At one point in the 70s, Warren Buffett owned a huge chunk of Disney, right? And he talks about errors of omission because he sold it for like a $10 million profit. He was happy. It went on to be worth billions of dollars, and no one says one word to him, right? Errors of omission, not errors of omission, but errors of omission. Like Do you realize how stupid that was? If I would have just kept Disney, I would have added billions of dollars to my portfolio. Now, today, if you go to my screen, you'll see crypto broker Voyager Digital files for bankruptcy. Now, I just want to point out to everybody, heirs of omission, we had someone in our office for 2 months begging us to buy an exchange, unlike Arute, which, by the way, your crypto is held in trust. So they don't go take your crypto. Voyager had your crypto in the fund, like in the general pool, right?
Yeah.
So we had someone pitching us so hard to buy an international broker that sold crypto. It was an exchange. Do you remember that?
I do.
And what did we do? We didn't do it.
We didn't do it.
Right. So I remember them rubbing it in my, look what Voyager's doing, blah, 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 blah.
Voyager,
blah,
yep.
blah. Huh?
Yep.
Bankrupt.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Heirs of omission.
heirs of stupidity, honestly.
There's some things we didn't do that paid off, right? We paid off our debt in March because I was flipping out with Jason and everyone saying, oh, dude, remember on the show? We were saying,
Yeah.
this is not looking good. Oh, my God. We were short, what's that thing you ride a bike on? Peloton. And we were short other things.
AMC.
Oh, don't say that. Shh, don't get me. Oh, people were threatening me about AMC.
I know. What is it now? Actually,
Well, I don't know. Maybe because Maverick came out, right? Hey,
Yeah,
Jack,
true.
did you see Maverick?
Yeah, both of them.
Connor says one of his favorite movies. I loved Maverick. It was good.
Listen, it makes you proud to be an American again.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. That show, good for Tom Cruise because he got a lot of shit for a while, and I think he just turned 60, and it was fun to see him do well.
You see those pictures of Kelly McGillis and him?
Oh yeah. Did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see? Christy, did you see Maverick? Not yet. Not yet. How about you guys back there, Nick and Brett?
Not
It's
yet.
un-American, man. It's un-American. What's wrong with you guys?
You know what? They probably didn't have hot dogs and hamburgers for the 4th of July. They probably had tofu.
I bet you Christy had tofu. Do you have tofu, Christy? Okay, let me just say something to you. I went to we went to a little company function, and I will tell you, nobody fucks with Christy. All right, nobody messes around with her, and she'll rip a crawfish's head off in a second. So I don't probably think she's probably doing yoga, but no tofu probably. Brett, on the other hand, he might be a tofu loving guy. I don't know.
Oh,
No, look at that. Those are pizza and wings. Those are fighting words.
I'm
Anyways,
a tofu guy, vegan forever.
Are you vegan?
No,
forever.
not even a little bit.
Hey, Jack, you own any crypto at all? You own any Bitcoin?
No, I'm sure that many of my ex-wives do, but unfortunately, I can't lay claim. But I will tell you, it's fascinating, and that's why I've so enjoyed this eavesdropping on the conversation. My son-in-law, right from the beginning, has been infatuated by crypto, and specifically, and now I can sound a little bit more intelligent when I talk to him, all the way back to understanding the difference between cryptocurrency and Bitcoins. And try as he may, I was never able to absorb it. And now, next time I go down to visit them, I can sound quasi intelligent and be able to expound upon the difference.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't think I'm intelligent, so be careful quoting me. Anyways, there you go. Let's see here. Joe, you want to wrap up on your thoughts about the Bitcoin crypto market?
I think we're in really good shape. I mean, as far as our company goes, I think we're solid. I think we're moving online with more machines, every month, and I think that we've got a good path forward. I think some of these other guys who, went out and spent a literal fortune or decided they were going to build, I don't know, a $500 or $600 million facility for this are in a little bit of trouble right now. Overall, though, we're all in this industry because we believe in Bitcoin and believe it to be an alternative currency, and that, ultimately it's going to go up. I mean, if we don't, there's no reason to be in this business. And I think that there's a rebound, and I think it'll rebound well, and it's got more adoption than ever. It's got more it's got more uses than ever. And moving forward, I think we're just in a really good place.
Well, I want to transition a little bit, Joe. Hang with us for a few minutes. I want to transition to oil and gas. Right now, what's going on? If you saw yesterday, Jason, J.P. Morgan said they could see a case for, I believe it was a $380 oil.
Yeah, that was weird. Because
It was weird.
Citi
And then
came out.
and you saw Citi coming out saying, well, in a recession, you could see 80 to
Stagflation.
90
Yeah.
oil, but
Yep.
could go as low as 65.
For sure.
And then SPAC Jesus, he was on Twitter. Chamath Palihapitiya. Did I say that right?
Close.
Okay, close. I like him, so I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. Chamath Palihapitiya. He said that it didn't appear that anything you did in terms of supply chain, in terms of oil, was going to offset the fact that over the winter time, Russia would be crushing people in the natural gas market. There'd be demand for this stuff,
There will be.
and there won't be enough supply.
Germany is beholden to Russia big time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what am I missing here?
Well, the only thing it could be missing is possible stagflation, massive slowdown, but I don't think that's going to affect the price of natural gas in the wintertime or home heating or oil for that matter. But, I mean, let's see what happens if we start seeing a lot of job cuts, unemployment rates spiking, stagflation could take place. But let's see what the FOMC, another 75 basis point hike, could do some damage to the market. The U.S. dollar will continue to prosper. This is just my opinion. So let's see what happens.
Are we bringing in Randy at all? Okay, I would like to. This is what we're going to do for the show. We're going to bring in Randy. We're going to talk to Jack, and then I'm going to get to blood in the Bitcoin market and talk to you about my thesis later. Jack's willing to stay, but we're going to wrap up with Jack after we bring in Randy, because Randy, of course, has so much man love for Jack. I'm sure he's like shitting his bricks over there that Jack Arute's on the show.
Yeah.
Joe, appreciate you being here, my friend Crypto Joe. Keep putting those miners in, making me look good.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, appreciate all that debt you didn't have on those miners.
Yeah.
Guess it all paid off at the end, didn't it? So far, so good. Although I'd appreciate the Bitcoin price being back at 65 or 60.
And the difficulty to maintain here where we're at.
Exactly.
Hey, SOS, ticker SOS did a massive
50
50 to
for one,
1
right?
reverse split today. Just wanted to point that out.
Randy, my man, Charles Randolph III, what's happening?
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Hey, did you see who's on the show?
It's an honor and a privilege to be in the presence of Jack Arute. Yes.
I saw the two of you bullshitting in India a bunch of times. You just now. Did you know Jack? I mean, you knew of Jack, but before the Indy 500, did
Yeah.
you hang out with Jack at all?
No, but I had an interaction with him in 2007. The Indy 500 had a rain delay, and I snuck into the gasoline alley, and lo and behold, there was Jack. He was talking to P.J. Jones. And so I just wandered over there to try to talk to him. And I was filming, actually, at the time. I was videotaping a lot of the activities. And I got Jack on film, actually. I said, Jack, when they go back to green, can you say, hey, we're going green? And I have that on video when he said, we're going back to green. So, but no, I didn't know Jack at any way until John introduced us this year when he came to the Indy 500. And I spent a lot of great time with him. And he autographed one of his books for me, which was outstanding, and I'll cherish that for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. One of the funnest, most amazing races I've ever seen. I told Jack about this. Was the Danica Patrick win, and we are going to go to my screen. We're going to put on my video, and we're going to put on my audio, and we are going to watch something that was, to me, one of my most favorite Indy moments. It's at Twin Ring Motegi. It's the 20th of April, not the 19th, because it was raining the day before. Jack had to get back to CART. That's when the leagues weren't together. So he had to be in Japan and then be in Long Beach. Let's go to my screen real quick. I'm going to play it real quickly here. Hold on a sec. Are you ready?
What is it going to take, though, for you to put this car in victory lane today?
I think that, you're just going to have that calculated balance between, still pushing really hard to stay in the front, but yet being smart enough to finish. I don't know what to say. I'm getting, it's frustrating.
Are you getting tired of it?
Yeah. I just wish it would be over with,
Okay. Now, I told Jack, he knows I'm a fan. When I saw him for the first time, I said, Jack, let me quote you verbatim. No one knows the power of that interview because he did that interview before this race, right? And Randy, what do you think of that, by the way? That's Jack Arute. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Did you think that was awesome? I did.
Oh, dude, I've got a library of races at home with Jack Arute in them.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to explore just a few minutes of this. Here we go.
I preach, my dear friends, you're about to receive on John Barleycorn, nicotine, and the temptations of you.
There's Danica.
Farthest run we've seen has been 51 laps by Hideki Muto. Here we are on lap 143. Do the math. Nobody can make it.
And just so we know,
Danica Patrick.
she just came in.
Decision to try and top off the field, as does the Team Vision car and Elio Castroneves. These cars pack the fuel in. Now, by my calculations, that will put them precariously close to being able to go the distance, guys.
We're going to be green with 49
By the way, that's Jack, by
laps
the
to
way,
go.
calling that.
Will
And
one of those three that topped off
And
be the
Ed
winner?
Carpenter, Ed
We'll
Carpenter
find
Racing
out.
nowadays
Dixon
is in the
pulls
Vision
away
car, the
again.
yellow car.
And look at Carpenter looking to go underneath Danica Patrick. And here comes Elio. He makes easy work of it. Meanwhile, up front, Scott Dixon with the wick turned up full force is 1 second ahead of Tony Kanaan and 1.2 seconds ahead of Ryan Briscoe.
This is in Japan, guys,
Here
by the way,
comes
at
Ryan
Twin Room
underneath
Cage.
the 20. Yo, that's close.
Oh, close at 200 miles. I don't think that Ryan Hunter-Reay can make it on fuel mileage, so he's probably just going as fast as he can because he knows he has to make one more stop.
Let's give you the numbers. Ryan Hunter-Reay stopped 31 laps ago. Now 32 as he goes by the stripe. Then it's 28 for our top four of Dixon, Kanaan, Weldon, and Briscoe.
Now, I want to say, this is, to me, one of the coolest endings. Now, remember, Jack set the stage. Danica, when are you going to win? I hope someday. Are you tired of it? Yeah. And then he calls, look, she's packing gas in precariously at the end. This is a great setup. I mean, one of the great setups in motorsports history, in my opinion. Now, granted, who the fuck am I? But just, sorry. For purposes of putting that on social media, let me do it again. One of the best calls, one of the best setups in motorsports history. Who the heck am I? There we go.
Then it's 23 laps ago for those three that we talked about, Carpenter, Castroneves, and Danica Patrick. This time by, it'll be 11 laps to go, and we're getting word that the 17 of Ryan Hunter-Reay, with 50 laps since his last pit, will be making his stop this time by. So Ryan is going to surrender his top 5 position. Carpenter could steal this if he can make it stretch. We've got 6 laps to go. And he's peeling off.
That is a surprise.
Carpenter, who last pitted just 45 laps to go, is into pit lane.
And
so
remember,
his
he was one of the first ones to come in at the beginning of the race also. They're not making fuel mileage.
Scott Dixon is called on the pit road.
That's Jack talking.
And following him in will be his teammate in the number 10 car.
Weldon and Tony Kanaan are in, and it looks like Elio Castroneves. Remember, he came in and topped off with 5 laps to go. It looks like Elio Castroneves is going to inherit the race lead, as there he is with now 4 laps to go. There are 3 laps to go this time by. There is second place, Danica Patrick. She, too, on the same fuel strategy as with just about 2.5 laps to go. The question is, who's got it? And here she comes. Does she have enough fuel? She's going to take the high side.
Bye.
And Danica Patrick takes the lead at Motegi. The white flag this time by, and nobody within sight. Look at Mom Bev. 1.5 miles to go for Danica Patrick and the Motorola team. Could history be made at Twin Ring Motegi? Down the backstretch for one more time. Does she have enough fuel to get around the final 2 corners? Into turns 3 and 4. Danica Patrick coming out of 4. And boys, move over. The lady is coming through. Danica Patrick wins at Twin Ring Motegi.
It's raining inside a big brown moon. How's that mess you, baby? Leg in a Reuben sandwich with sauerkraut. Throw some down, baby, and it all hang out.
All right, man.
Wow, what a trophy.
Now, Jack, I love that I love that. I will always love it. I know exactly where I was. I know exactly where my wife and my kids were. I know everything that was taking place at that moment. When she won, I was so pumped for her. And when I saw her at Indy, I told her, I said that to me was in the top 5 of all of my personal sporting events. I was a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan of Indy since I was a kid. Jack, you called like tons of races. I mean, like so many for so many years. But like, what's your favorite? Like, what's your favorite thing? It doesn't have to be. It's probably not this one, of course. But what's your favorite?
I'll be honest with you, Todd. I think it must be included in your favorite list, and really, quite honestly, because unlike today, where you can go to the local short tracks of America, and they're becoming almost equally populated, or at least reflecting the American population in terms of gender distribution. Danica was still, part of that pioneering spirit from Sarah Fisher to Lynn St. James that was started with Janet Guthrie when it came to IndyCar racing. Now, I understand, in Mid-Ohio, we had 2 females in the field, but all Danica really had was her European experience and some people that believed in her that provided the briefcase of money for her to get the shot. But she parlayed that into, as they said, guys move over, the ladies coming through. And no one's ever going to be able to take that away because all of the females before her didn't accomplish what she did. And one of the little known facts, I don't know if I shared it with you, I was the only on-site announcer. All of that other play-by-play and call that you heard emanated from the studios of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway across the street from the track. So I have always thought I was the most fortunate reporter in the world to actually not only see it, but feel it and experience it in person. So that would qualify as one of my top ones. To me, I've always been infatuated by athletes, whether they're driving Indy cars or driving a sled dog race at the Iditarod in Alaska, of what makes them do what they do. And that day, I could see the relief and the release in the entire Patrick family was something that they held on to tightly. And you can't help. Now and again, you're going to have some self-doubt because she had come close so many times before. And let's face it, it launched her career over to NASCAR. I've never asked her, but I would have to think that probably she went over to NASCAR thinking she could do the same for her gender over there. And although she sat on the pole for the Daytona 500, never got to repeat that victory in Motegi, Japan.
No, I know. I wondered, I don't take it away from her that she didn't win again. I do just say she won a race and she's the only female to do that.
And my point is, I think she actually went there fully confident because of who she teamed up with, what was put together in terms of the project, that once she paid her dues, like she had to do in IndyCar racing, that she was going to be able to do it. I think she actually embraced that challenge and that opportunity. That's all.
Gotcha. Hey, Randy, this weekend at F1.
Oh my!
Holy smokes!
Well, I heard you and Jack talking about F1, and your guys' points are well taken. It's getting kind of boring.
But just like Andretti had a weird week.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's go to my screen and watch what is pretty bad.
Starting in 9th place, the red and white Alfa Romeo. Nicholas Latifi gets in between him and George Russell. Gasly backs out. There's the initial content. That's where the car then is upside down onto the gravel, and then it flips and tries to right itself. And as it does so, that's by the barriers, and then it goes over the tyre barrier and into the catch fencing. So he was actually, Martin, upside down, as you can see, and the roll hoop and the halo very much doing its job before the car digs in, and you do not ever want to see accidents like that.
Yeah, I think George was pulling to the left into the AlphaTauri. That's tripped the Alfa Romeo completely over. Luckily, it lost a little bit of speed, going round and round and round into the gravel. As I said, it's always concerning them because you roll over hoop, digs into the gravel. We're told we're only seeing these replays now we know that he's okay.
Yes.
Just to reassure you. Yeah. So whether George got a little tap on his right-hand side, I don't know. But so 3 of them got together. Just so the center of gravity of these cars is so unbelievably low that to tip them over is not easy.
Watch Gasly go to try and follow Latifi here. And is it Gasly that makes the contact?
Yeah.
Stefano Domenicali, the man responsible.
I don't know if there could be
for Formula One, in
a moment
conversation
in
with Joe
time
Guanyu, Freddie
that
Vassell,
has
Alfa
a
Romeo.
more sort of, I guess, Jack, every time you get in a race car and you thought you've seen everything, something else happens. I guess it's probably one of the truest risk-on moments, right? Probably like the idea, like we get used to seeing a rocket launch with an astronaut on it, and then one time something goes wrong. Does a person like that ever get back in the car and race again? Like they're not worried? Because these young guys.
Absolutely. You know what? Absolutely. Let's go back. And if you're not a fan of Formula One, like Todd, myself, and others, go back to I believe it was last season that aired on Netflix, and the episode is called "The Man Who Stepped Out of Fire." And that incredibly terrifying accident where the Haas entry with Romain Grosjean aboard was split in 2 and wedged under a guardrail in Bahrain. And what was, I thought, it felt like years, the driver's engulfed and can't get out of the car. And then all of a sudden, when you thought, I thought he was dead. And I think most of the people there, here he emerges and walks away from it with, serious burns on his hands, and you can still see the scary scarring even when you sit down and talk to him. But it's not the way, like, I'm a huge fan of all racing, as you guys know. So I found the autobiography, the videography of Juan Manuel Fangio. And, you know, the turn of the 40s moving into the 50s and tracing him. And one of the things in the documentary said that in a typical Formula One season, there may be 23 drivers that would attempt to race in a Formula One event. And by the end of the season, of that total 23, 10 would be dead. You know, we've made incredible advancements in safety. But I think that the unintended consequence is we get lulled into thinking that it's a safe sport. I don't care if it's Indy cars, if it's your local late models there at the Bull Ring in Vegas, or, we're at whatever discipline it may be. Just when you start to get complacent, you'll read about it or you'll hear about someone that lost his life. And that is a slap in the face, just to remind you that as I said when I met with all your fine folks, this is an assemblage of ordinary men and women accomplishing extraordinary feats.
Randy, Randy, you have been watching F1 for a long time, longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
This Halo thing, do you know the reason why it was created, and sort of like the number? It seems like it's saving a lot of lives.
Yeah, well, I mean, a few years ago, Felipe Massa got hit in the head with a piece of a spring. A spring flew off a car, something hit him in the head, and he's seriously injured, could have been killed. That's when they started, proposing these ideas. A lot of people didn't like it. Traditionalists like me, of course you don't want to see, you want to see the cars the way it used to be, open cockpit. But now with the things that have happened, and Justin Wilson, of course, an IndyCar got hit in the head with a piece of debris, killed him. You got to protect them. You got to protect their heads now at the speeds they're going, and anything can happen. In fact, that Halo, looks pretty safe, but honestly, there's some openings there. I believe the IndyCar design is more safe because you've got
IndyCar is completely enclosed.
Yeah, the Halo, you've got openings on each side. Something could still, some freak thing could happen. Something could get in there and hit you still. So, but as far as landing on top of you, it's pretty good. I mean,
let's go to the video that Jack talks about. We're going to play. You ready? All right, let's go. Wow. So I noticed on this crash, the Halo, so the car's cut in half, right? Roman's in that fire. I have no idea how he gets out alive. He's in the fire. They don't even know what to do. They're like, this is a disaster here. He's in the fire and he has the halo, but the barrier hit the halo hit the barrier. It would have decapitated it. Would have cut him off.
Which is what happened to Francois Sever so many years ago up at Watkins Glen in one of the final U.S. Grand Prix that was held at that racetrack. His head was severed due to the guardrails.
And that halo just saved his life. Randy, do you know how he got out of the... How did he get out of there? I mean, when you watched it, did you just...
Yeah, I don't know. Can
you go back to my screen real quick?
No, he's very lucky to get out of there. I mean, they said if it was like a few more seconds, he would have been in a lot worse shape. So
look at him. They're like holding on to him and just truly amazing. Anyways,
this guy Ganyu who got in the accident this weekend, he said that he flat out said that halo saved his life. The way he landed between that fence and the tires there, it got crushed pretty good. He credited that. So it's definitely helping. But like Jack says, you can make it as safe as you want. These things can happen. Some freak accident can happen. It's safe, but yes, every time you climb in that car could be the last day of your life. You don't know.
Let me add one thing, and those of us that remember Lionheart, Dan Weldon, it has pretty much been time proven that if those cars back in that era had the aero screen, we probably would still be talking about Dan Weldon in the first person, live and in color, because it was a fence post that collided with Dan's head and caused the traumatic injury that took his life when he got up into the fence. And it made me think of it, Randy, when I saw that F1 crash where it went driver's cockpit side into the chain link. And that would have been a disaster without the aero screen or without the halo in Formula One. So, and look, you can go all the way back to the loss of Ayrton Senna and the debate that raged there, and traditionalists won out for the time being. You know, Senna, it was a suspension rod that went right through his helmet. What if there was an aero screen? But, you know, ifs and buts. You don't know, but I do applaud everything that is done now from a safety standpoint in all forms of motorsports.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Jack, we appreciate your time. Randy, you want to cover anything real quickly?
I just wanted to say that the move of the race, I don't know about you guys, in Mid-Ohio, had to be VK passing Newgarden and Dixon outside of that one corner. I think it was turn 5 or 6. That was an incredible move, incredible result this weekend. So good bounce back for VK.
Well, you know why that happened, Randy. You come on, you're not letting your viewers know the rest of the story. When you've got Crypto Joe's face on the nose of the car, all right, that's motivation. Every time Arenas looked down and saw Crypto Joe looking back at him, he could also hear Crypto Joe saying, "Okay, let's get on with it. Let's move on."
Here's the maneuver. Let's go play it here.
That was incredible. I mean, you don't see that. You don't. How many times do you see that on a road course in IndyCar? A guy taking two positions. Look at that.
The outside of turn 6, Reedus VK, what a move. You don't see too many there like that. And here's the green machine. Welcome to the scene, Marcus.
Yeah, Arenas VK is passed on the outside of two cars at one time. That kind of was the move.
That was incredible.
And at the very wrong spot. If you went and took a road racing course, they would dock you 3 or 4 laps for even attempting something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, the really true geniuses not only can attempt it, but also finish it off, and that's what Arenas did. But he did have the whip of Crypto Joe behind him. So.
Hey, Jack Arute, we appreciate you being here. Wind Tunnel, obviously, everybody try to subscribe. If you're an Indy fan, you're a race car fan, you're a fan of sports, Jack has a great podcast. You can reach it. You can see it on Apple, everywhere. I think it's on. I think I've seen it on YouTube too. But then again,
yes, I do.
While we get Skylar, let me talk about Jason. I want to talk about this with you. So, what are you seeing in the market regarding Bitcoin? In every situation, whether it be the internet, the late 90s, 2000s, semiconductor business, housing, manufactured housing, you see these blow-ups, debacles. It's different this time. It really is never different this time. In fact, when you hear this different this time, which is what you heard about the apes and what's happening with GameStop and all this thing, eventually it comes down to do you produce capital? Now, what we're trying to do at Nile is obviously buy businesses or spin off businesses that we think over time will reward our shareholders or produce free cash flow.
Sure.
And it's very logical kind of what we're doing. We're just doing it in an open form. If we did it as a private company, we'd only bring the company public once it had like its free cash flow and had a big enough market cap.
Yeah.
And the opportunity would not be there. But when you see Celsius, when you see Voyager, these blow-ups they always inherently happen with, first you have the inventors and then you have the people that copy them, the imitators. Over time, you see eventually these kind of things lead to great opportunities in the space if the industry is meant to be disruptive and be in our lives for a long time. You're not going to see someone disruptive today because they can't be in the long distance phone market, right? But you could see them disruptive in something like space, right?
Yep.
Which is a new frontier.
Sure.
Or in this case, Bitcoin, crypto, etc. And what people do is they create these synthetic environments where they have existential things happening that you can't control. And the only thing you can control is your reaction to it, right? Your behavior towards what's happening. And Jason, when you see that Core Scientific sold that many Bitcoin, you see that 19 million, according to one thing I read today, 19 million dollars worth of crypto being sold a day.
Yep.
Then you sort of know that those people are getting wiped out, right? I mean, and that is probably good for the industry, but short term, a lot of pain.
Yeah, a lot of people took inferior hosting contracts too, whereas they just aren't profitable when the threshold of Bitcoin, reaches 20,000 or under.
Right.
This is pure speculation. But back to your investment strategies now.
But no, but when people, I don't want to lose this.
Yeah.
When people were paying people to stake them with their coin and we'll pay you 17%, we had a chance to stake. And I was like, wait a second. You want me to give you my Bitcoin? You're going to relend it out. And then I'm going to hope to get it back?
Yeah.
And we didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
We looked at it.
And now look at what's happening.
Right.
Everybody went to zero. Well, not everybody. But
Well, a lot of people have been crushed. And so the thesis for me is that Bitcoin survives. A lot of the other coins get obliterated. You're gonna hear it. By the way, this is the same drum that happens all the time. I think there were 2,000 automotive companies. They're down to like 5 or 6, like General Motors, Ford, a few others, right? Chrysler, which is now called something else, Fiat, a few other things.
I mean, it happened in banking, and this is trying to disrupt banking, so there's always going to be some pushback.
Right. So you have to. So my approach has been buy stuff when there's blood in the streets, and I get caught up in it too. That it's a new dimension, and you got to be part of it. But we're in it for the long haul. So for me, this is actually a quality issue. It is probably the best thing that could happen to the industry over time if we use proper regulation. And what happens is the pendulum swings sometimes so far. A bunch of people get burned, retail investors. They complain that they lost money. They blame other people for their decisions to put their money where they put them, Robinhood. And they then call for people's heads. People's heads roll. But if the technology or the business makes sense, over time it survives. I believe Bitcoin does. I haven't lost a lot of sleep over it. No. And in fact, you could argue, since Alt Alpha is buying, I'm able to take advantage of what we see is, a book value that's higher. It's logical. You can all do the same math I can do.
Yeah.
And I've been buying Bitcoin, and just for full disclosure, I bought 6 Bitcoin, 1 for each one of my family members, including myself personally.
Yep.
And I'm happy that I own Bitcoin.
We recognize it, and in our opinion, we recognize inefficiencies in the marketplace,
Sure.
and that's across all spectrums in investing and in life for that matter. And then you take action. You do the research, you do the diligence, and then you take action with what you believe to be an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So GameStop declares a 4-for-1 split.
Yeah, I didn't know that, really.
So a lot of value added there, right? I mean, if you split the stock, if I want a pizza and I want more slices, I could just cut more slices, right, of the pizza. It declared a 4-for-1 split, right? So it's going to be cheaper for people to buy GameStop.
Well, I would say that with Google and Amazon.
Well, in the Google's and Amazon case, they got so expensive that they're trying to get people to be round lot shareholders.
Sure.
But when you're $100 and you're going to split it 4-for-1, you're going to go to 25. You're going to be more reasonable, right?
I mean, for retail investors that want to take their shot. I mean, I don't necessarily condone it, but
if you look at the announced splits of Amazon, Google, they were cheaper later on. It went up 6% on this news, but they were cheaper later.
Yeah.
So 33 minutes ago, boom, 3-for-1 split, up 6%. Are you a believer that goes higher or lower?
In the long run, lower.
Yeah. To me, GameStop goes lower.
Yeah.
Skyla.
Yes,
Got anything funny?
I do. Do you know why the lifeguard couldn't save the hippie?
Why could the lifeguard...
Why couldn't?
Why couldn't the lifeguard save the hippie?
He was too far out, man.
He was too far out, man.
Yeah, I like that one.
The beat continues here. Jason, your thoughts on the market for July?
The market for July.
Oh, you're negative. Oh, I forgot.
You know what's going
Oh,
on. You know
God.
what
Here we
I'm
go.
saying.
Here we go.
The Dow breaks below 30,000. NASDAQ is into the 10,000s. I mean, maybe below 10,000.
So you're negative.
Yeah, very negative. I still think a real estate market collapse. Well, let me rephrase that.
No, you've said it. You don't like the
A
real estate
big
market.
correction in the real estate market, starting in cities like Boise, Idaho, and Austin, Texas, and Southwest Florida. And those are my thoughts there. I just see a lot of price drops right now currently in some of these markets. It'll continue to happen. Wage gap, inflation, all these things fighting against the American people, in my opinion. So
I think there is one thing that people are not paying a lot of attention to, and it's Russia. If you are a global allocator of capital, and you were to look at like all the safe havens of where to put money, right? Mm-hmm. The dollar is propped up because it's the best of the worst in terms of fiat currency.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
The Fed's in the middle of strengthening, raising rates, so they're basically saying the dollar is more valuable.
Quantitative tightening, raising rates.
Right. The world basically has to own the dollar.
What about the BRICS nations?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Subverting the dollar.
Yeah, I don't see it.
What about the ruble being backed by gold? What do you think of that premise? What about the ruble and
I
oil?
think that Putin invading Ukraine has effectively made it so that the globalization part of the world changes. Mm-hmm. There won't be as much globalization. There'll be one standard digital asset, right? And one standard. So if you think silver's a fixed asset, gold's a fixed asset, a digital asset's Bitcoin. The only fiat currency you can own, if you're going to have to own it, is the dollar, right? Mm-hmm. And I think Putin set back the idea of globalization a long ways.
He's not a fan.
No, he's not a fan.
Not at all.
And he's made it so that, well, one thing for sure that I think is dangerous, and this is why the market, the U.S. market is still the safest place to be, but you weaponize the dollar when you take people's shit. When you take oligarchs' yachts, planes, trains, and automobiles, when you take their money, regardless of how they got it, you weaponize the dollar.
That's true.
So we're going to come out of July and August with Wait a second. What's happening in your mind? What's happening in your mind in September, October, and November?
This fall?
Yeah, what interesting thing could be going on?
Well, there's a little election that we have in November.
Oh, it's the election.
Yeah.
Right. Wait till this gets down. Whew. Wow.
Can I say something? This is my belief.
Uh-oh.
They're going to have to cheat at least 10% in mail-in voting in order to overcome the red wave
Lord.
that's coming. You think it's bad when I see a border town in South Texas that hasn't been red in 150 years, and she comes in and just takes over and wins the election. I see a problem for the blue side, so we'll see what happens.
All you have to do is watch Bill Maher.
Yeah.
He is
Watch him. He's a
he has
Democrat.
openly admitted that Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
So I would think that this rest of the year, while there's opportunities in individual stocks, and you pay attention to, am I buying a business that I want to own for multiple years that has the potential to be more valuable later? If you're a business that has to raise a lot of capital, see ya.
The time for speculative investing is not now.
The time for rampant speculative
Free
investing.
cash flow, value businesses.
People that can buy back stock, people that have cash flow.
Mike's is a value for, it's,
oh, well, come on. We're not going to talk up our book.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that's
you
an
know why
example.
we bought Mike's.
Yeah, of course.
Right? We bought Mike's for a reason.
Yep.
That add $52 million in annual sales to Nile.
Well, there's just certain things that we look for.
It's and we like the management team there.
That's all.
We're buying other stuff.
Sure.
We've been talking about things we're going to get into and things we're focused on, but the things we're focused on now are things that are cash generation or have accelerated growth. But forget Nile. I want to talk about what you would be doing, and that is, if it were me, I'd make sure that I've allocate capital to something that has sort of a durable competitive advantage. It's generating some free cash flow and can survive what will be a very wicked election cycle.
There's a lot of commodity tickers that I have my eye on.
What are some of those?
Freeport McMoRan for sure. Southern Copper, SCCO. The index for copper, CPER. I like, obviously, the mining conglomerates that are larger. The junior miners, too, even like AUMN.
What's the new symbol for that company that has a short? You can, if you're long, you're short.
BITI.
BITI is if you want to be short a Bitcoin on a one-for-one basis, you just buy BITI.
Yep.
You buy it to be short, and you sell it short to be long. Right?
Yeah, it's a reverse.
Right. So if you're long, it's going to go down in value, and you're short, right?
Right.
But if you're short, you have unlimited risk if it goes up.
Correct.
Wait,
and I'm
if it
not
goes
sure
down,
if you can
if it goes
actually
down.
short that stock. I don't know if you guys followed all that, but BITI.
Hey, why wouldn't you follow that? Anyways, appreciate everybody. It is July 6th. It's 2022. We're enjoying the warm summer here in Las Vegas.
Yep.
Appreciate all of you who are supporters. Special thanks to Boats. I saw you over the weekend. That was a great time. It was nice to meet him in person. Let's just say I can't respond to people's theses anymore. But I appreciate everybody watching the show today. Special thanks to Jack Arute and Randy, Christy, our producer, Skyla, who was in Mid-Ohio with us.
Yeah, I liked that track a lot, actually. I just thought it was so beautiful.
That was fun.
It was a little hot for my taste, but it was beautiful.
Shout out to Sarah and her family. We met them, who were friends of Connor. We saw a lot of people, right? A lot of people there.
Yeah.
Mid-Ohio. And we continue to amass fans and people who are paying attention to what we're doing. That was fun. What's up next for us, right? We're not here on Friday.
You're going north of
I'm
the border.
going to
you're going
south of the border to a wedding. And then next weekend, after this weekend, will be Toronto. So the Honda Toronto race will be there. I'll be in New York the week of the 11th. But we will be doing some shows. I think we're for sure going to do a Monday show, right?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
Everybody, this is Risk On. Take care of yourself. And Risk On, everybody. Take care. Be well.